Oh boy. All right, can you guys hear me just fine? Just making sure everything works. Majora's Mask remake is okay. It's not great, but it's okay. It's a fine way to play the game if you haven't ever played it before. All right, man. And then I think we should probably get started then, huh? Hello again, this is Hellkrai, and welcome to my live stream, aka the YIIK Revival Revengeance Project. Today I have quite the itinerary and plenty of behind-the-scenes fun to share, so let's start us off. Boop. We'll do this. So, oh, that's not what I wanted. First off, there's a lot of stuff going on, right? I know plenty of you people have seen it on Twitter, and it's not something that been particularly quiet about. And originally, I was not going to talk about this. The people within and around the community that keep stirring up drama and talking shit about the Y2K community just want attention and want to feel important. So I wasn't going to give them any more time of my day. And the only exception is I'd say like other indie developers, because honestly, they should know better. And that's what I wrote Monday morning. I thought Monday morning, I'd be like, there you go. We're not going to talk about the drama around the community, what's going on. And we'll just leave it as is. We'll fuck those people, essentially, right? It might feel a bit insincere to you who are here in the live stream listening to this because I have it pre-written a bit. That's so I don't forget anything and that I have receipts for certain things that I'm talking about today. Because we are going to go into it. I'm really tired of it and I just want to lay it all out there and then we can move on and go back to the fun things that I had planned for today. So for the fact of the matter, and I'll go over this when I talk about my process for writing the videos I've made, I do all of my writing through speak to text for my first draft because it's easier for me to get my thoughts out that way. And then I proofread and add in notes later. So I wrote this at 5 a.m. as I was getting off of work on Monday. So it'd be like Tuesday. The fact of the matter is me and members of the community have been the recipients of ongoing harassment and misinformation surrounding the game. Now, I'll try to correct this provably false information and explain exactly how this toxic narrative has spread and how it affects the community. This is sort of a message for a bunch of my good friends, and I think it would be appropriate to list them off. Raisin Bran, Combat Lobster, Irasu, Echo Master 21, Cheryl Stelly, Timrod, and of course, my biggest fan, City Dreamer. I don't hate you. I think it's very important for me to say this. I hold no resentment to you. But there's this thing you're doing, and you can go fuck yourself. What this means is I don't appreciate a pattern of behavior that you're exhibiting. Not that I have an issue with you as a person, even though multiple of you have slighted me in many different ways. I'm not concerned about myself. I'm concerned about what you keep doing and how it not only affects me, but other people. Again, I can't stress enough, I wasn't going to do all of this. But now I'm going to spend a whole morning when I should be asleep instead of writing out an entire essay about history and documenting pieces of it, because some people like to gaslight me about what happened and when they happened. Before I get a little bit more specific about exactly what certain people have done, this is a general thing. For the sake of me, yourself, and everyone around you, go fuck yourself. Get over yourself and stop being such a shithead, please. With that out of the way, we can talk about these characters. There's some other history lessons I would like to give today, but we're going to start with these characters specifically while I still have their attention. We'll start off today with Irasu. Okay, buddy, I know we've never talked personally, but you've done a lot of things that have affected me and affected people I care about. You see, Irasu here started a very toxic narrative. Allow me to have a second to pull up this timeline events in Axe history. I first made this, so here, let me go get this, and I'll explain it. Act timeline, there it is. We'll move this over here. So this here. I first made this when I was working on documenting the entire process of creating Y2K. I did this because I wanted to know what happened when. This is all links and dates specifically of when things happened. As you can see, between game releases and reception to the games, etc., etc. So where does Irasu fall in on this? Well, Irasu was one of the people that was a fan of the game and joined the YIIK Court shortly after the game's release. And specifically, his actions come around the time when Y2K or Axe Studios talked about there being a third ending. So where is this exactly? I have it here somewhere. There it is, the third ending teaser. We look at that. So what Irasu ends up doing is they do some very rudimentary, if I'm even going to call it that, data mining. Really, they didn't data mine anything. They took a very basic decomp of the game, found a bunch of scenes and tried to load them with saves, and then looked for where things might be pointing. It's very basic, and Andrew and Brian had mentioned that they designed the game and designed this secret ending knowing that people would try to data mine it. So by taking no efforts to combat data mining, hiding things. He just made certain claims. So we can find these. Here is Arasu posting a video that he made. Well, the video he didn't make, the Combat Lobster made said video, quoting him as the source for the save files. What is this? Here is, again, some level loading and quote unquote data mining. And what is this one? Yeah, we'll come back to this one. But Irasu points out, if you drive to the tower, you can actually get in, but it's missing whatever key talked about. Only the new version, of course. And you see somebody else in here, a familiar face, a familiar name that we'll be talking about later as well. So basically, he did this very basic data mining and decided that this Combat Lobster video, this stuff that they saw in here, was cut content, right? And even, right here. Special thanks to Irasu from the YIIK Discord. So, Combat Lobster showcased this and makes everyone know about this quote-unquote cut ending, which has been a huge piece of frustration because it's not cut. It's and Irasu and his friend Echo Master build up this narrative, and as you see here, Echo Master peddles it more and more. Now, because they didn't data mine very well, they determined that all of this was inaccessible and that you couldn't load certain scenes. Partial opening, ending, and all of this is, Essential tutorial. All of it is not working together correctly. Right? Now, children, I want to show you a few things my friend Linguistic Spaceship found. Because if this data mining was so fucking thorough, how the fuck did nobody know about these things? I probably have to go to the cutting room floor to show you this. I did not give myself a link for this. But here, Linguistic has been updating this wiki because there's a lot of incorrect information on here. But there's certain things Linguistic found, and I'm not sure if I can find it. There is an entire object in the Switch version of the game. And you can see Linguistic Spaceship's channels here. But there's an entire object in the Switch version of the game that had not been documented until now. There's a lot of stuff like this, like the Beta Mountain stuff, which some people had found, but Linguistic managed to make it, run in engine and playable enough to make a video of it. So, Linguistic had managed to do much more in-depth data mining that if the original data mining was so thorough, they would have found this. It wasn't. That's important to note. I can even upload this supposed cut ending. I can even load this up and play it from beginning to end in the game, which Combat Lobster and Irasu are unable to do. I can even provide said save so you can do it yourself, and I can go over the nuances. Who here would like to see this? Give me 1 second to prepare for that. So here we go. As you can see, I have an assortment of Y2K files here. I'm going to load up this in the original release of the game, 1.03. This is from GOG. Here you go. As we get into the game, you'll see that it's not modified, providing it loads. Let me make sure you guys can hear the game now. Anime wallpaper, true. There we go, version 1.03, as you can see in the corner there. So here we go, we'll load the demonstration file. This version of Essentia's tutorial dungeon hasn't been really well documented online, if at all. When Irasu and Combat Lobster would show off the video, they did not show off this. This hadn't been found until way later. So much for thorough data mining. What is interesting about this version of this dungeon is it requires a very specific value to be set that you can only get towards the end of the game. Additionally, in here you can see that puzzles that you would have had to do during the original tutorial are already solved. So we're just able to walk on by. Here you go. After going through the dungeon, it immediately loads into this scene.
Looking at two dead parallel versions of myself, and what appeared to be my Essentia 2000, I had realized something that made my heart sink. How many other me's had she tried to bring here? How many countless parallel Alexes had tried to take down Proto-Alex? My thoughts turned to the souls waiting on that far distant star of my bedroom, waiting for their Essentias to return. I now understood what she was trying to do. For the ultimate goal of destroying Proto-Alex, the Essentia 2000 had gone to the source. She sought out Alexes, all of which were about to make their choice. She tried to get them to join her in the soul space to destroy Proto-Alex. But those too scared or unprepared were left on the star, waiting forever for her to return. I now wonder, am I different? Yes, I am different. I've come here on my own, not like a lovesick puppy, following their beloved owner to certain death. She did this because she had to. Cruel, maybe, but necessary.
Alex, and you, what are you doing here?
Essentia? What's happening right now?
I failed you, time and time again, just as you failed me. I have brought myself into a cycle, time and time again. You entered my life, and brought destruction and love. Time and time again, I entered yours and caused the same.
We can finish this, right? We can kill this bastard and get on with our lives!
I have failed so many times to kill this version of you. I've brought so much harm to the kind-intentioned versions of you. I cannot leave you without destroying this brutal monster! And you, these are your friends? We have not yet met. I am the Ascension 2000, or rather, that is how Alex knows me. This body is called the Ascension 9802. It is one of my spayers. I have not entered your reality yet, as you do not yet face the choice of what direction your life would take. I see Alex beat me to it.
Okay, enough of the talking. Let's get down to kicking this thing's ass!
So there's a few things to note about this. If this was actually cut from the game, and there are things that exist in the game that are actually cut, it would not function as well as it does currently. All of this links to each other perfectly and ends to the ending, as I'll demonstrate here in a bit. The other thing is they could have just built the game without these scenes in them. It wouldn't have crashed anything or made it unplayable. In fact, during beta testing for 1.25, they had removed the Ascension tutorial from the game, and it was just playable as is during the whole testing period of that. It had been added back in after testing 1.25 had been concluded. And as Machine Pixie pointed out, attributes were added to this in 1.25. So, I'm just going to continue with the fight to show you that it all works, that it all isn't cut. And again, you'll see that this is the original release of the game because of the combat that you're about to see. I probably want to switch out Essentia for Alex. Exactly. Machine Pixie pointed out something great. Is one of the secret boss hints was, how long did it take you to figure out how to destroy his left shield? What does that boss have?
It's over. I can't believe it is over. Do you hear the music? Beautiful, isn't it? I wrote that about you, you know. It's in moments like this where experiencing the multidimensional emotions becomes trying. In Vella's reality, I hated you. In your reality, you confused Vella. However, as a whole, you are one of the most interesting souls in the whole soul space. The words to the song begin. Can you hear, my heart is calling. When I wrote those words, I thought I was calling you, begging you to understand the destruction you left in your wake. Perhaps we called each other, in my infinite ignorance. I hurt you, just as you hurt me. Interesting, isn't it? Even I didn't see that.
It's over now. Please. Let's just deal with that later.
I understand.
Ocarina of Cope.
What do you want to do?
I want to find a reality that doesn't have a parallel version of me. I want to go live with my friends. I want to go try and help people. Help them how you helped me. Only, maybe with a little more caution. But first, I want to thank you. You're truly awesome. You're the me I wish I could have been. You picked up the fight without having to be asked. You knew the right thing to do without needing an angelic android or whatever to come save you. You didn't need your reality to be destroyed to understand that things were getting bad. I guess you have the foresight I lacked.
Wow, that all just worked. Back to back. All together as one cohesive segment of a video game, didn't it? If Arasu's data mining was so thorough, how come the video didn't show this? Why did it only show segments of this? It's because his data mining was not as thorough as he would say. Or, all of the data mining towards the beginning of the release of this game was not as thorough as anyone in the community said it was. Now I want to show you a couple of other fun things about this. We can just close 1.03 here. And we can move on to other versions of the game. We could go on to 1.25 and show you that this is all still there. The current release that you're able to play of the game, this stuff still exists. But instead of showing you that, what if I show you that quote-unquote cut ending? The supposed unused cut ending for the game. Here you can see that this is different because instead of having the tutorial already finished, we actually have to do it ourselves. No, leave me alone. I don't want to do you fights. Oh man, I needed the ladder. I forgot. Oh wait, it's stored on me anyway. Oh man. Damn, Alex. Fat ass. Why? Okay. We just mess up something 3 times in a row real quick for you guys. Just so you guys know that I'm actually playing the game, I guess. Like you needed much more proof of it. There we go. Wow, does this look familiar? Again, this is 1.25. This is the version of the game that you can go out and play right now on your Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and PC. So, I've shown you how all of these scenes link up and that actually exist in the game. I'll even show you something the video didn't show you. Let's talk to our good friend Matt Hodkins. And there we go. We're here. And you can do the fight like you've seen in the video before. There's nothing really too crazy about this, to be honest. I'm not going to bother doing it because you've already seen it. but just proving that it's all in the game already. And I'm going to show you one other thing with this before we move on, which is loading the other scene in the current version of the game. Just run from this battle real quick. Fun looking. Damn. And there you go. All of it still working. I'll enter the fight. I'm not going to do it again, but I'll enter the fight just to show you that he has an affinity, which is the new system added into 1.25.
Looking at two dead parallel versions.
So you can see
how many I thought
Auto
by now,
advancing
but the
text,
she
yay.
tried and now yes. She did cruel.
Alex,
That's how you can really tell that this is
We
1.25.
can
we have this spot. It is, I have an ice.
oh, let's get
I'd say with this attack, it's usually easier to just, or better to just get hit once. But dodge it real quick so none of our people die. This is a new added minigame to 1.25. And when you go to attack him, you can see that he has affinities for things. We have to go and attack him to see what they are. So let's go ahead and do that. Either that or they have just weird affinities. So, there you go. That's those. So, what's even more crazy about this, and I'm sure you're asking, how do I get to these? This is cool, Hellkrai. You can load these up on the PC, but how do I get to them? Well, there's been a really interesting known bug that has existed since the launch of the game. And I say it's interesting that it's a known bug that has been there since the launch of the game because it was found again during 1.25's beta period. And the developers know about this and haven't done anything about it. So is it a bug or is it a feature? That's the question. We look in here and we can see that Nikaitan goes and talks about posting it. Nikaitan's a really cool person. They post their soda all the time in the Accord, if you don't know. And then he just deleted it without warning. There's something very interesting to note here is they posted, hey, I came into this thing. And very quickly you could see Cheryl Stelly here going, Echo Master 21 are trying to keep this under wraps a bit, considering it's a glitch and not intended to be accessed this way. If it's not intended to be accessed this way, why does it still exist in the game? Here we go. Let's go and look at a very early, version of this. August 4th, 2019. One of the earliest documented pieces of it. This glitch, quote unquote, big quotes, hasn't been documented extremely well. What I would like to do one day is just to do a live stream to try to make it happen and have it recorded on video. That'll be in the future. Not today. We've got a lot to talk about today. Anyways, Immortal Gamer here says, guys, I have a question. I didn't finish the game yet, but I have to know something. Right now, I tried to do all the quests, but after I got Semi's cassette and left the university, I was suddenly teleported to some mine dungeon, killed some enemies, and stuck on infinite loading. Was that a bug? I somehow got teleported to the late section of the game, or am I triggered some kind of secret? Kind of like that? It's really great. There's a consistency towards this bug where if you go to Easton and do something, sometimes you'll just end up like I did in the first save file, where I just ended up inside of the tutorial dungeon. This is a known behavior of the game since the game's launch and has not been patched out. To me, what that says to me is that, this must be something working as intended, and we just don't know how to access it properly. We don't understand what values we're triggering to get to it and what values we may need to get to the rest of it. However, again, you'll see our good friend Echo Master say, you managed to bug yourself into the pre-release tutorial. Again, when 1.25 was being beta tested, they completely took out the tutorial dungeon. If they didn't want you to get randomly wrong warped into the tutorial dungeon, then it could just not exist in the game. But for some reason, there's some certain condition that people occasionally do that leads them there. We have to find out what that condition is. Echo says it's only accessible either save editing or using an out-of-bounds glitch to drive to the lighthouse in the latest PC release. Fortunately, there's nothing to be seen here other than what used to be the tutorial. I'm sure you can get your save file fixed up to put you back where you belong. If I had to guess, they retrofitted that room to load when the game would otherwise crash, but that's 100% speculation. Haven't played much on the latest version, but it could explain the lighthouse bit. What's even funnier about this is, unfortunately, there's nothing to be seen here other than what used to be the tutorial. Well, I just showed you what is to be seen there that is other than the tutorial. But that's not what people talk about. That's not the narrative that gets spread. We'll move back to just a face cam time. Not that one. We want this other one. Bam. It's me. so I can bring this over here. So this means if you were somehow to get the correct values, you can access this content within the game. We just don't know how to get those exact values in the specific order that the game wants, because this wrong warp seems to be intentional, seems to exist in the game intentionally, otherwise it would be patched out. So this is a part of the feature, and this is also probably why it's so hard to data mine the game, because if you look for things that point to warping you into the Ascension tutorial dungeon, there's only two things that do it. Alex's monologue at the beginning of the game, which was assumedly because he would start with a monologue and then it would put you into the tutorial dungeon from the very early release of the game, and going to the tower itself. Nowhere on that list is Easton University. Though, on this note, I will say that we have somebody in the YIIK Court who may be throwing in the towel now, but was doing some pretty extensive data mining to try to figure this out. So, this is where we can leave Combat Lobster and Rasu for the time being. Now I'm going to move on to Echo Master. Are you still salty that I understand more of the game than you did? Because that seems to be the prevailing reason why you're being such an ass now. To explain what I mean, I came into the Y2 community late. When Y2K was released, I had recently lost a huge job opportunity in esports, and also found out that my girlfriend at the time was cheating on me. I had been homeless and living out of my car for a few months, despite the fact that I'd been interested in this game since I saw an article in 2017. I didn't get around to it until I had bought a Nintendo Switch later that year in December. I joined the Discord because I had heard about the third ending and was interested. You see, I thought I understood why people didn't like this game. I thought it had to do with the fact that it borrows a lot of the ideas from the book and film Fight Club, and that the combat wasn't very good. And I guess I was half right when I decided to watch the videos about the game, but people didn't understand the way the people didn't understand the story rubbed me the wrong way. And the fact they all had different ideas about what the third ending can be, but most of them just said it doesn't exist. Mind you, like I just said, these people didn't understand the story. They refused to engage with it at all. And they're the ones telling you that the third ending isn't real. So how could I expect them to know it when they don't even engage with the story? Because the third ending isn't just like a cool secret. It's story related, as everything is in Y2K. But I was interested. Most of the time when there's secrets or ARGs in video games, somebody else finds out and the whole story is being told in retrospect by the time I find out about it. So I was like, this is cool. I get to see the story as it develops and be the person watching it and exploring, finding out, knowing these people and all that. And I was a little late too, as I had mentioned. Because when I got to the YIIK Court, the third ending channel was currently closed. It puts me in a fun position because I think the search for the thing is fun. I think the mystery and the hunt is great. And the narrative of the community working together and finding it by whatever means is beautiful. It's just a great thing that games have. And I was excited to be in that position to watch it happen in real time rather than, later when somebody makes an hour-long video explaining the thing. And then it's okay, cool. Yeah, that happened, I guess. Here's all these people I don't know. That was cool. So I hopped into the Y2K Discord. And my literal first message reflects this fact. And maybe I could find it real quick because it is literally, it's so funny with this. Let me jump to present because somebody had it. Here we go. Yep. I found it. Main thing. Burger King. Yeah. I just really wanted one of their chicken sandwiches. I don't know, man. Has joined YTK RPG. Yeah, we used to have Dino in here announcing whenever anybody joined. Said howdy. Been playing this game and been having a good time so far. Big update for Q1. Focus on your playthrough, which I think I finished by this point. I said, I saw and noticed there's a big hunt for the third ending. Like, I don't know. I always find hunts like that interesting. Like I said. Elko Master already. Well, about that. Never Be Game Over, if you guys don't know, is a thing about Metal Gear Solid 5. I actually played... My camera right now is resting on the PS3 that I originally played Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain on. You can't see this because my overlay is stupid. Oh, here. Woo, there you go. Well, you still can't see it because of my thing. But, yeah. Day one copy. I bought this. I bought the PS4 specifically for it and bought all of the copies of the game. Every game to play through it as I waited for that release of that game so I could play through them all again because I love Metal Gear. Metal Gear's awesome. Anyways, Never Be Game Over was like a whole subreddit bullshit about some of the weird intricacies of it. And like I said here, like the results don't matter. It's all the threads I find fun. Yeah, it was fun while it lasted, but unfortunately it became fairly apparent that what players were discovering were things added to the newest version. Again, while that's a really cool thing for Echo Master to say, I just showed you that there are things they didn't discover. So if anything, it's reasonable to expect a new ending to be included in the upcoming updates, if at all. That said, the project lead said he'd show us how to reach this supposed ending in the launch version Sundays, and I still have those files. Well, I still have those files too, Echo Master, and I just showed you the fucking thing. Anyways, this is Echo Master's really harmful narrative that he spreads. We're going to go back to me. As you can see here, is that it doesn't exist in the game. And they're adding it later. At one point, there was a channel, as I said, dedicated to finding said third ending. But after people got so pissy they couldn't find it, one of those people being at the time moderator, Echo Master 21, they decided to close it and wrote up a false narrative about saying the intent was to reveal this third ending alongside the physical release. And Echo Master will peddle this theory to anyone coming in searching for the third ending. Which I'll show now. I know this is really engaging Discord drama bullshit, but you know. I guess here it is, all the way back in April 2002. I guess I'll just say a history of base being tone-based with their fan base, and I've already done worse than lying about a secret ending. I started to bring newcomers up to speed and empower them to search as best as possible, but now I feel the text as a warning to newcomers that this is mostly likely part of a prank, silly proportions. But if you still have hope, at least you have a reference book. Here we go. Good buddies, Aranid. I'll have you know I gave a straighter answer than that. Lol, it's a meme. Look at the idiot who fell for it isn't exactly a straight answer. Content that doesn't exist in previous versions. Hey, I showed you the content that existed in previous versions or other platforms isn't quite evidence or progress. Plus, that is not all what I said. So, what Echo Master is failing to do here, as many people when it comes to Y2K, is reading comprehension. Andrew had stated several times within the hints that he gave that Dick Masterson, like the character Chad that shows up and gives you hints, is a hint system. It is supposed to be something that kind of clues you in on certain aspects of things. But the problem is Echo Master and other people at this time took everything Andrew said quite literally instead of what Andrew was doing, which he was being talking in metaphor. He was being sly. He was playing a character because I don't know if you know this, but leading up to the third ending or any of the endings, you get a specific message on Onism. And I could pull it up on our recreation of Onism real quick. 9.com. Well, I spelled that wrong. If you go to onism1999.com, look at this. Really cool. Here we go. Unseen 32 and better endings. BPA are Brian Allen's initials. Brian exists as a character within this game. And I can go over this Onism post quite a bit because there's a lot to say about it. But the main thing is Andrew and Brian exist as characters within the story of Y2K. And the hints that Andrew gave are relative to that idea, that concept, that he is a character within the story. The people at the time who were searching for the third ending did not consider this at all. They took everything at face value and quite literal. Echo Master was so passionate about the fact that him, his friends, and the time they wasted not finding the third ending was meaningful in some way that he refused to let anyone actually find it and ruin that narrative. It took me an entire year of complaining and pointing out the faulty logic surrounding this entire situation to get a simple Discord channel reinstated. And the kicker is that the way Echo Master and other people were approaching this was every time somebody would come in and ask about it, instead of just going, yeah, go talk about that in the third ending channel so I don't have to hear about it, they would make a big public statement about it. It doesn't exist in the general chat towards people. And every time it was a big passionate spiel about, oh yeah, like you can go and get tricked yourself if you want to go look at the third ending thing. Yes, Echo, you are an asshole for this. I don't care what anyone says. You're an asshole for doing this for a whole fucking year. Actually, about 2 fucking years. So, around this time, joining the YIIK Court is when I met my good friend, Cheryl Stelly. Cheryl was friends with Echo Master, and actually me meeting them was joining a call where Cheryl was egging Echo Master on to look for third ending things. That night was very similar to the one that I was having then, writing this at 5 a.m. I get home from work, bored, and I sit in my computer chair and become a mom on the net. I look over and see somebody in a Discord call, and I join just to see what's going on. Cheryl was another one of these people who eventually became a moderator on the YIIK Court and was frustrated alongside Echo Master with anything I did. A lot of what I did on the YIIK Court was just talk about the story without giving specifics. I just wanted to talk about it. I thought some things were interesting in the way the game told its story, and some details about the story were interesting. And I kept talking about what I noticed and looking at the thing through a postmodern lens. I would often get asked questions about where specific things are, what line of dialogue was said, and because I was just some idiot on the internet, like I almost failed high school. I just said, we all have a copy of the same game. Just fucking look at it. Evidently, this ends up building a narrative over time. So after meeting Cheryl and Echo Master, they tell me about a call that will be going on with Andrew and Brian, the developers of Y2K. They were wanting some feedback on how the game was currently and how people might want that to be changed for the 1.25 update. Hoping to make a release of the game that wasn't a complete remake, but just improved enough that they would feel good about the project they made. So I was excited for this. They held a public open beta of sorts exclusive to the Discord server, and they took feedback there. I wrote a whole bunch of notes about what I think could be some small but really good improvements to overall make the game more engaging. During the call, I was unfortunately the first one to speak during that call. And I say unfortunately because I'm really self-conscious about the fact that I can talk well. I'm really good at bullshitting, and I have a lot of thoughts on things. I'm self-conscious about this because I don't want to make the whole conversation about me or what my thoughts are on any given situation. I want to hear other people's thoughts, and I really don't think I'm the most important person in the world by any means. So, being the first to talk here was intimidating, amusing, annoying, and beautiful all at once. I went over my notes and talked at length about each one and why I would make this certain change or whatever. A lot of what I did didn't end up getting into 1.25 because it would have taken too much time for how small of the update was originally planned. And after going on this spiel, I apologized, for saying it all. And a lot of people at the time just agreed with what I was saying. And this seems like something somebody would say in order to stroke their ego about how smart they are. But I'm telling you this to first highlight how I didn't like this situation. I didn't like being the center of attention. I didn't like that I took the opportunity for other people to express their ideas away from them. And this is something that I'm passionate about. I am passionate about hearing what other people have to say and listening to them. But I think this, along with what I mentioned earlier, the beginning of the narrative that happens between Cheryl, Stelly, and Echo Master, as time goes on, people always hop onto the Discord server, even to this day, to spread the same incessant, repetitive, incorrect memes since the beginning of the game's launch. They talk shit, they post a gif of Alyssa Lamb in an elevator, they misquote the Dick Show quote, and they talk about how shitty the game is that, in all honesty, most of them hasn't played. It's annoying, but I'm not concerned about random people saying whatever. I'm more concerned about how they're repeating the memes of people who make videos about Y2K. I'm more concerned about how they're just repeating something they saw on Twitter. And this is what becomes so dangerous about something like Arasu's claim before, and how Echo Master is insistent about how this is content being added to the game after the fact. To get the third ending channel open, I had to prove the fact that Arasu did not search as thoroughly as possible and was able to completely make the thing they said they couldn't make playable, as I showed you, completely playable in the original release of the game to prove that the third ending could exist because they were not as thorough as they claimed. Because I don't personally want to find it. I don't think I'm that cool or that important. Like, as I said, it's more so I just wanted to be there to see somebody else do it. And I don't want to be that person that goes, hey, here you go. This is the answer. Especially when a lot of these people are just being an asshole, repeating the memes about how shitty the game is, and nobody's taking the time to actually talk about the fucking story that exists there. So no, I never put any effort into finding the third ending, and I never will. I only put effort into disproving this meta-narrative, but it's still spreading. A clearly false belief that people latched onto and continue to propagate. But because I've noticed this problem and how these people just latch onto this meme to latch onto this meta-narrative, Cheryl, and by extension Echo Master as well, decided that I don't care about other people's perception of what the game is. This couldn't be further from the truth. Now I could sit here and explain the fact that there's this person who I don't agree with and I've never had a problem with them. But I'm not going to, because that's not the point of any of this shit. I don't care if you like Y2K. I don't care if you understand Y2K. I didn't make the fucking thing. Why the fuck would I care? I don't care if you think Alex is trans. I don't care if you think the golden alpaca is a Rory in another reality. I don't care if you think Alex is in love with Michael. I don't care if you think Rory killing himself is the real event of the game. I don't care if you think this is all bullshit. None of it fucking matters anyway. That's cool. I'll hear you out because I do want to hear your perspective. And I do want to talk to you about your perspective, to give you bits of mine to see what you think about my perspective. But you see, this is where the problem comes in. People see me giving my perspective as me forcing my perspective on them. No, that's not what's happening. The point here is to have a discussion. The point here is to say, hey, this is what you think. Oh, well, what about this? But isn't this interesting, though? The point is to have a conversation, to talk about these things. If you don't want to talk about these things and you just want to tell me how you feel, then that's it at the end of the day. That's fine, but don't be upset when I'm trying to have a conversation with you. I'm trying in that moment to better understand your perspective. I'm trying to understand how does your perspective coincide with these things I think might be contradictions. I'm not saying these things are factual and they contradict you and you're wrong. No, how the fuck could I know? I didn't write the thing. I can only give my perspective, and that's what I'm doing in these situations. I'm being sociable and giving my perspective and trying to have a conversation with you. I'm not trying to convince you to have my perspective or anything like that. I just want to better understand your perspective and give you mine, because that is what a conversation is. And the fact that I have to explain this to some people like they're in the second grade is ridiculous. Most of you people are fucking adults. And at this point, some of you are older than me. And the fact that you can't grasp this idea of what a conversation is absurd. So, Cheryl, for doing that and perpetuating this bullshit that I only care about my perspective and I'm forcing it onto people, you can go fuck yourself. That's an additional one specifically designed for you. Let's get a little bit back on rails for a moment. So, Raisin Bran. Oh boy. As if I didn't have enough problems with the way that YouTubers write their content, as if it's a condemnation of the people who have done things, even when that person has done nothing in their life, like you, Raisin Bran, and clearly just make it about themselves and how cool they are and how they're the greatest person ever, you come along and make everything worse. I have a fun tweet to bring up. Where is this? Oh, there it is. Oh. So, not just me that Raisin Bran is talking shit about here. Also, he brings up Cheryl. And later, my friend Livy. I go on Twitter and I'm just asking people questions. I told Baroque Decay, who was working on their update for Yuppie Psycho, that I would like to beta test for them. Didn't have time with it. And this is just proving that I have a connection, which is weird. Dude, you don't understand the story of the game, and being an asshole doesn't make me want to show you this shit so you can fuck off. I'm trying to remember who that was. I'm even looking deeper into the third ending to see if it's in the game itself. Take the fucking shot, you coward. Dude, when you're being an asshole to me, I'm not going to do anything for you. Whoever that guy was. But you could see, like, I'm having conversations with people and they just end up being rude. Here's people talking about the Elisa Lam stuff. And I go, well, that's not what they did. Can you explain to me what's wrong with it? And they don't. They refuse to. And they're just mean to me about it. And then Raisin Bran's like, here's a 15-year-old. I don't go and look at who's... I see a tweet that's popular or it's getting traction. And I go, that's not true. What you just said there isn't true. Why are you saying this? I don't care if you're fucking 12. You probably shouldn't be on Twitter, but like... Why would I look at your age on there? That's a little weird, Raisin Bran, that you're looking up specific people's ages. So, not just me, also Cheryl is on Twitter around this time, and I'm asking people who talk about Alyssa Lamb why they have this perspective that they do. Because in the world that I live in the information that I have, the perspective that some people have and say and vocalize doesn't make any fucking sense. Just to be honest. I'm desperately trying to understand what the problem is here. Before we get too far, I think we got to go back, and I got to explain the Elisa Lam situation. I planned on covering Elisa Lam and the situation with Y2K in a separate video, and I was going to have this whole cool, cute thing where I reveal that, right? But this is how we're going to talk about it right now. To this day, it doesn't make any fucking sense. It doesn't make any sense why people think this person is specifically referenced to the degree that they're saying that she is literally fetishized. Or it doesn't make sense how people are so angry at the fact a piece of art would talk about something that happened in the world that we live in. Some people call it disrespectful, which doesn't make any sense because they agree the game is saying that Alex is a shithead who is the person that obsesses over this missing girl. That's because the narrative is about how it's fucking weird to be this person who's such a fucking loser that you obsess over and make up an entire relationship with a woman you've never fucking met, and how you think you can save her. So, I'm talking with random people that are tweeting about it just because I want to understand what the deal is. I want somebody to tell me something that like makes this make sense. And as I showed, we see Cheryl doing the same thing. Even though she wants to act like she never did that, she did the same thing. She can blame me for it, but I didn't take her Twitter account and start typing those words in for her. It was something that she decided to do of her own volition. I didn't tell anybody to do these things. I've never told anybody else to go on Twitter and talk shit. And one day, because I'm interacting with Y2K tweets, I get more Y2K tweets in my feed. Spoiler alert, guys. This is how Twitter's algorithm works. Or at least that's how it used to work. People are confused about this because they don't understand that's how the algorithm works. It's how it works on all the websites. You interact with something, it shows you more of that thing. This is important because a lot of people think I name search Y2K. No, Twitter just shows me your bullshit tweets randomly. So because I do this, because I talked about it a few times, because I interacted with a few of these tweets, I get to see City Dreamer's tweets, where he says, instead of buying Y2K, you should buy my game instead. And I see this and I go, hey man, that's a shitty thing to do. Like, you're burning bridges with people and losing opportunities here for no reason. Publishers will see this tweet and see you shit talking somebody else's game and not want to work with you. Other developers will see you do this and just think that you're going to throw them under the bus if you decide that you don't like them. So I replied saying, hey man, this sucks. Why don't you say something else? I feel like I was being nice there. My tweet's not even about defending Y2K. It's literally about saying, hey man, you're gonna fuck yourself over by saying shit like this on Twitter where everyone can see it. Shitty Dreamer does not like this. He gets very mad at me and this starts a long and beautiful relationship. And it gets even better because for some reason Andrew and Brian decided to delete the video that they posted on YouTube and Shitty Dreamer re-uploads it. At this point, I'd already done the first quote-unquote yickening, where I had an entire conversation about and with Snakerer, where I had pointed out the really shitty logic he used in a lot of his analysis about what the game was about. And I had specifically talked about his interpretation of what the third ending is and how it doesn't make any fucking sense. So, with the reality, or how it doesn't make any fucking sense with the reality of how the game works. So, Shitty Dreamer posts a re-upload of the video and talks about it being an unused cut ending. And in the description talks about how he believes what Snakerer said. That's cool. And I go, oh wow. So like, we could just bust this out real simple. Hey man, this isn't what was there. And I talked with that guy on stream and he agreed with me that this is what this is. Here, I'll bring up the comment now. Yeah, Sneeze pointed out something good. Even if your tweet only gets 2,000 likes, there's a huge margin of people who have seen your tweet and the things you said. Let me pull up the Shitty Dreamer thing. Fade. This is affectionately called the Hell thread, where I said, fun fact, I debunked the idea of this being the third ending on a stream with Snakerer, but you're not interested in spreading anything but hate and deception about this game. Being a bit cheeky there, but that's what I know. I'm not asking him to watch my video. I don't expect him to, or anything. I'm telling him that the video here is not what he says it is, that he's saying it's unused content. This guy complains about my name popping up, and it's like, okay, whatever. Here, we see Shitty Dreamer go, I don't know why you're so mad at me. Where did I say I was mad? As if people like Sakon hadn't said worse things about you. I'm just up here re-uploading lost media. Here, he's trying to sack on these nuts me. If you thought this person was at all going to be reasonable and easy to talk to, here you go. Here's the evidence that they aren't. They're not interested in that. Again, Shitty Dreamer, I need to reiterate, I don't give a fuck if you like the game. I don't give a fuck if you respect the creators. I don't give a fuck if you respect me. Literally, as I shown today, what you were doing here was factually incorrect. That was all I had an issue with. That should be all there is to it at the end of the day, really. But no, it's never that simple, and especially with Shitty Dreamer, all he wants to do is be angry. I tried to reply respectfully, and instead, he takes every reply that I've said here with passive aggression. Even here, did I ever say I was mad at you? Sorry. How is this passive aggressive? No, Shitty Dreamer, I'm not being passive aggressive. You're just fucking wrong, and that's okay. I'm not trying to get you to like me. I'm not trying to get you to like the game. I don't give a fuck, dude. I'm just telling you you were factually incorrect about this, and this is what I had a problem with. You don't understand what the fuck you're talking about, and you should probably educate yourself. And then later, Shitty Dreamer decides to make basically the same exact tweet, and I point that out to him, and he gets really upset about that. Shitty Dreamer is really easy to upset. I can say anything, and this guy gets pissed. He has some anger issues. He probably should work out, or he should probably stop being such a cynical ass. I don't know. I'm not actually a doctor, even though I made that joke in my previous video. So we got to get back to my main man, Raisin Bran. Because what did Raisin Bran do? Well, we get back to this tweet. Raisin Bran did a podcast with his friends, right? And Shitty Dreamer is one of his friends, but he doesn't show up in there. He just plays the game alongside of him. Where a bunch of idiots who are illiterate and don't understand the first thing about postmodernism complain incessantly about everything in Y2K. It's honestly a fucking drag the way they complain about the most innocuous things and act as if they understand something when they're failing basic reading comprehension. Raisin Bran also perpetuated the narrative that Sammy is Elisa Lam and continues his thing to talk shit about the developers in the most disgusting and awful way throughout the fucking podcast because he doesn't have respect for anyone but himself. But because he's friends with Shitty Dreamer, Raisin Bran decides, now's the time. I need to make a call-out post on all these people on Twitter that are arguing about Y2K. Now, the next thing I'm going to say is very controversial. But if you post something publicly on Twitter, don't be upset when somebody replies to you. If you didn't want somebody to reply to your tweet, post it privately. This isn't a magical thing. You said it publicly because you wanted the attention. You got the attention. Why are you upset? You shouted into the void and heard a voice reply. You shouldn't be surprised that somebody talks to you after you do this. Maybe you are because you have no friends and they don't talk to you. But you posted publicly, which means you wanted some kind of public attention for what the fuck you just said. So you shouldn't be upset when somebody replies to you. That aside, Raisin Bran takes a whole bunch of screenshots of me and Cheryl, and also Livy94, and attempts to use these as a way to shame us all for being dicks about Y2K. Hey man, you invented being a dick about Y2K, so you can go fuck yourself. Besides, the problem here is Raisin Bran that you've already perpetuated an incorrect narrative. You are fucking wrong about the conspiracies that you keep peddling. Now he mentions how I I quote unquote harass City Dreamer. City Dreamer has a habit of talking about me a lot. And whenever anybody talks about me, I have a tendency to hear about it. Maybe I'm a bit of a narcissist, but when people talk about me, even if it's negative attention, I'm looking at you, Reset Era and Kiwi Farms, people tell me about it. And I think it's really funny. Every single time. This tweet is hilarious. I even retweeted it before Brazen Brand blocked me. But because Shitty Streamer is so upset that I would ever dare say that he might be factually incorrect about something that he is factually incorrect about, he cannot shut the fuck up about me. I live rent-free in his fucking head. And for a guy who's making a game about how you have to pay rent, it's kind of fucking weird if you think about it. So I have a habit of replying to him and clarifying why the fuck I'm upset with him every single time. He doesn't understand this, and I keep feeling like if I explain it in some way, he'll understand. Now, when you're factually incorrect about somebody, and somebody points out the fact that you're factually incorrect about it, you should probably do something to fix that. My good friend Linguistic Spaceship would constantly get recommended Shitty Dreamers re-upload. And this too bothers him the same way it does me. So every time he would see this in his recommended, he would point out that Shitty Dreamer also recognized that he may have been factually incorrect in his dumb blog post. We'll pull up this thing again. This video gets recommended quite a bit. And here he goes. Update. Apparently, no, it's a leaked fourth ending. I tried to explain to this guy what this is, but, he just doesn't listen. So, Linguistic would come on here whenever there was, it would pop up in recommended. Would make some funny post about, hey, it popped up in my recommended again. Can you fix the title? So every time anyone else would get this in the recommended, he would point this out and recognize might have been factually incorrect in his blog post. So maybe he should change the title of the video, because every now and then we see people in the Discord talk about this video as if it was factually incorrect, when it's not. We're hoping as a community to constantly get rid of some of these really bad meta-narratives and the misinformation I mentioned that people have spread about the game that are all, in fact, incorrect. And for some reason, this group of people that I've highlighted today have a problem with this. The central point seems to be that it's because they can't accept the fact that they might not be correct about this, and that all of their judgments about people and how they've spread memes make them feel bad. Let me move this here. I'm sorry. Sometimes you're an asshole, and you need to accept that. You might not be right all the time in your life. I live my whole life that way. I don't care if I'm right or wrong, but at least when I'm told I'm wrong, I apologize and try to correct the situation. You have all failed to do this on multiple occasions, and you keep spreading fucked up narratives about people who are just trying to get you to be a little bit nicer. Who are just trying to tell you that you're not right about this one thing? Can you fucking let it go? Can you grow the fuck up? Can you stop acting like you're the main character of this fucking world and everyone is just evil and trying to get at you? Because I'm not. I'm really fucking not. Stop being a dick, dude. And that applies to all of you that I've listed off. If it might apply to your life as well, or if you're another person who spreads these narratives, maybe you should think about those and think about how you might be affecting people. And now that I've addressed all the drama surrounding me, I think it's time we move on to talk about postmodernism and why people seem to struggle with it so much. This is another thing that I'll probably make its own bespoke video for, but a lot of people struggle with this idea of what postmodernism is. And I felt like I can't explain other things without explaining this. I can't insist enough that this was not how this stream was supposed to go, but here we are. A lot of you probably think I'm crazy or unhinged, and that's fucking fine. Sometimes there are things that are happening and you have to get them the fuck off your chest, and this is one of those times. I was okay sitting on the sidelines and taking it, but after recent events, I'm really fucking over it. So, postmodernism. Like I said, I'll make a separate video about this later. So, I don't know about you guys, but the way I like to learn things is by having an example. So I want to give you an example of how postmodern narrative works. After I explain this, you'll find this to be quite simple and that it's odd how all of these people have failed to understand this basic principle. So, what is postmodernism? The main concept around postmodernism is something after modernism. I know, that's really hard to grasp, and that's why the word post is there. That's what post means. It means after. Modernism is not contemporary, as people confuse it for so often. Modernism is ascribing a purpose and ascribing that things that only matter are those that have purpose. Postmodernism exists to question this meta-narrative that modernism sets. I made a funny comic about this once, and there are some flaws with it for sure, but the basic principle of how postmodern narrative works, but it's just showing off the basic principle of how postmodern narratives work. And what that is that there's a narrative, and that narrative is something that happens, if you don't know what a narrative means. So from A to B, something is happening. And what postmodern works do is it explores the character's perspectives on those events. So in an example, we can have Jimmy. We'll have this guy be Jimmy. Now Jimmy here, he's a bit of a dumbass, but he's our protagonist. No, he's not the hero of the story. He is the protagonist. This is a very important in a lot of postmodern works. To keep this extremely simple, let's just say Jimmy is racist. We all agree racism is bad, right? Well, maybe a few of you don't, but I don't fucking care. I don't think racism is a good thing personally, and I want to express to you this as the person creating the story that I'm telling. You, right now, I don't think racism is good, right? Cool. So Jimmy's a racist. And this is the story about Jimmy. Because this narrative that we're being told is from Jimmy's perspective, things are going to look a little racist all the time, right? It's just kind of good storytelling that's how that works, right? So this is where the fun of postmodernism comes in. Because at some point, you're supposed to question this narrative that Jimmy has in this racist world that he lives in. Maybe the world isn't actually racist, and it's just Jimmy's perspective on things and how he's forcing the narrative to be more racist because he's trying to justify his actions. Maybe he strangles a Japanese boy. Hi, I'm Hellkrai. Nice to meet you. I'm half Japanese. So why would I be racist against Japanese people? I've already explained that I think racism is bad, right? And I just told you I'm half Japanese. So, like, if the story's talking about how bad Japanese people are through the perspective of Jimmy here and how he justifies all of this to bury the regret of an action that he had, how the fuck am I the racist? This is important to note because for some reason with all postmodern literature, the point is about how to point out how this character comes from their perspective, which you would agree is good writing, right? However, for some reason, people like City Dreamer like to instead ascribe all of the actions of this character here onto the writer. Hey, you're being a dumbass. Hey, Raisin Bran, you did the same shit. You're being a dumbass. Wake the fuck up. That's not how any of this works. It doesn't even work that way in a regular narrative, you fucking idiot. So why the fuck would it be any different here? So, this is what the beauty of postmodernism is. That you can see somebody's weird justifications for an awful thing they did to further show the deep regret they might have for doing it. And that's just one example. And it's seen in all kinds of postmodern writing. There's other things that postmodernism can do as well. Maybe you should explore that writing style and find out. Are we feeling properly educated on postmodernism and how it works yet? There's always a bit of a delay on this stream, so I was like legitimately looking at the chat, but it's like going to be like a whole minute before you guys reply. So cool. I think the Burger King drink is giving me knowledge. Now we move past all this bullshit and we can get back to what I wanted to talk about. No, because I haven't done my due diligence in telling you exactly why some of these narratives are completely false yet, have I? You still have many questions about stupid shit that doesn't fucking matter because you use those to justify being an asshole, don't you? That's great. All right. How do I address it? Well, we're going to need to talk about this with the timeline. So, Y2K's first prototype was made 30 days leading into PAX. Let me bring up the timeline again. So I don't know if I have this date in here specifically. But yeah, they basically built the first prototype in like 40 days, I think. And what had happened is they had a booth already reserved and they were just going to show off Two Brothers again. And then big brain, what if we show off something completely new? Like we've shown off Two Brothers so many times before. What if we build something and try to sell it there? It was a great idea because now they got a publisher, YIIK. So they rushed it and built the prototype. This resulted in them getting published. Wow, that was fruitful, huh? The publisher would give them the funding for the game and push them to go to more events to show off the game. Hopefully to get it more sales, because if people only find out your game exists when it's released, it does not sell as well as if you do a little bit of a marketing push beforehand. Very basic marketing there. Free tip from me to you. One of those events was Fangamer 2015. You might remember this event as the funny one where Toby Fox hides behind a couch and acts silly. Well, the astute among you will correctly guess that this is where the Allenson brothers met Toby Fox. And this is how he managed to get a remix for the game, a remixed song for the game. And yes, it is a remix. If I bring up this, let me find it. I gotta make sure I find the right one. Ooh, 2014. So this build specifically was made at the end of 2014 and was shown off at, or wait, that's the wrong one. Yeah, it was at like December 2014 and was shown off at PAX and other events. If I go in here we go. YIIK PAX Demo 2015, audio clip. 68 battle track. Does that sound familiar? Why does this matter? Well, some people like to say that Toby Fox wrote this song and Andrew Allenson ripped it off later, right? But how could Toby Fox have made this song for a game he hasn't played or hasn't even met the creators for yet? The fact of the matter is he fucking couldn't. So, when this game released, it got a lot of negative attention, as we all know. It's not mysterious. The first case of this were people wrongfully calling the game transphobic for text in the game. A game that was, in fact, sensitivity read. Let's see if we can find this. Yeah, there was also the outrage over Iwata. Let's see. I think this tweet might be deleted, if I remember right. Yeah. Sorry, that tweet has been deleted. This was one of the biggest ones about it. So, people like Toby Fox and the people at Fangamer, amongst whoever else had access to this game before it was released, did not catch this. They played the demo at Camp Fangamer, and with the intro that had the same exact text. The issue with the text was it asks for the name your parents gave you. I don't think it's exactly a smart business practice to sign a merch deal with someone if you don't know what's in their game. So, simply put, it was an oversight. And if you want to say anyone is responsible for overlooking it, well, frankly, they're all equally responsible in failing to catch this oversight. Because if any of them did catch this, they didn't speak up to have it changed until the release of the game. Anyways, the reason it asks for the name that your parents gave you is because the next line talks about the name that Marlene's parents gave him and how he talks about it being lame as fuck. Damn, it's really not that complicated. It's not transphobia. Even though the brothers were away at a convention when the game launched, they still managed to update the game and remove this problem. Day one. But what the labeling of this game as being transphobic allowed for whoever to make up whatever about the game that they wanted. I think I can even bring a tweet up right now that people are still saying that the game is transphobic. Here you go. Here's a tweet of it. To this day, if the creator wasn't a raging transphobe, allegedly, from what I read. So the game starts with, please enter your name your parents gave you, which some people took as transphobic, like it's asking for your dead name. But what the labeling of this game and its creators as being transphobic allowed for is for whoever to make up whatever about the game that they wanted. I don't have an example of this here, but you could say that I'm being a bit disingenuous, right? However, the next big controversy was people on Reset Era that the game supported pedophilia because they data mined the game and misread something in the script. They data mined the part of the script that they read was around chapter 2 when you're fighting all the enemies in Windtown, and they misread the fat drunkard saying candy as if it was Carrie, and then he said that, oh, so they have pedophilia in this game. It was spread for a minute before it was found out to not even be remotely true. But it doesn't stop there, and that's what gets insane, because there's constant shit being thrown at these people for making one honest mistake, and we're just going to see each one of it until something sticks. The next is the self-insert meme. This doesn't make any fucking sense, as I just previously went over, because when somebody writes a narrative about a character, that doesn't mean the person who wrote it is literally that character. This person is not Andrew. It's not the developer of the game. And then he even has his response here. This did a number to the thing. You are fucking stupid if you think that the person who writes a game is literally the person that did it. Takes a few days, but then they find something that truly sticks, and that is this controversy about Elisa Lam. You'll notice that all of these are coming from Reset Era. Isn't that odd? Reset Era is basically Kiwi Farms, to be honest. It's where a bunch of people talk shit. And they don't do anything productive with their lives, if I'm going to be completely honest. Now, if I explain this controversy to you, it might make sense. People say that the elevator footage shown in the game means that this character is a direct reference to Elisa Lam. Let's go back to the Onism recreation real quick. The post is security cam footage. I would like to actually compare this directly to the Elisa Lam footage. So let's find that. The death of Elisa Lam. Where is... Here you go. So people say that the GIF is a one-to-one recreation of this one, whatever. What is crazy about this GIF is Elisa gets out of the elevator, she moves her arms around in a weird way, and then that's the last thing ever saw of her, right? Here, that's not the case with Sammy. A lot of people say it's the same camera angle. It's not really. This one's way lower than this one was. And to be honest, there's not that many places that elevator security cameras go. And on top of that, you know, people say that she wears the same clothes. Sammy never has an outfit that's red. It is alluding to it, and that's a big problem. The character in the game and the details surrounding them, including other photos of her, which nobody brings up. Where's the van post? Where is the van post? Dang. I think it should be over here. Oh, right here. Mysterious van post. So, you see these van posts, which in the story it says that these are some of the last pictures of Sammy Pak. That's not something they have in the Elisa Lam case. And there's so many more examples that make Sammy unlike Elisa Lam. For those of you who don't know and don't understand what I'm talking about, Elisa Lam was a young Chinese-Canadian woman who took a trip to California by herself and ended up not taking her medication and had an accident where she had climbed into an unlocked water tower and drowned. Now, I know this sounds morbid, and it is. However, her body was sitting in the water tower. Video footage of her in the elevator was released by the police in order to hopefully find her. The reason for this is within 24 hours of a person going missing, if they are not found, they're likely to never be found. Police had taken dogs to the hotel in order to sniff out her location and then led them up to the water tower, but the police did not investigate further. They thought, why would a young woman climb up into this thing? They did not see her and they just left. Pretty much the end of it. They were quite literally that close, and they released the security footage. They even recognize in retrospect as this is a grave error, because what happened next is the internet became obsessed with it and gave a bunch of misleading information to the police. People obsessed over this woman and swore that they could find out what happened to save her. Even to this day, people spread the false narrative that she was probably kidnapped or she was murdered. That is not what was happened to her. So with these details in the narrative of Sammy Pak, you can see that there's similarities in the way that she disappeared and that there was elevator footage of her, and then people became obsessed with her. But further details on the story are not the same at all. Sammy is still missing towards the end of the game. Elisa was found before the end of the month. This is because this is called a literary illusion. They are alluding to this one case and the chaos that surrounds it in order to make commentary on the insanity of people obsessively thinking they are the main character and attaching themselves to this story. This is a bad and disgusting thing to do, and even making up a narrative about the person who was involved. And the game even says as much. But that's now, and we can all agree that and understand the nuances of this. People refused to do so back then. And perhaps any one of these could be the result that leads to Toby Fox deleting his tweet. But what I will tell you is that these narratives inspired a harassment campaign on the YouTuber Redbard for daring to say that she liked the game, resulting in her deleting her video. Even though Toby had played the game's demos and was able to see these things existing in the game and said nothing of it before, Now, this is entirely speculation. It seems he may have pressured Fangamer to cut ties with Axe Studios because it was bad for his image. You can notice that there was a Y2K section on Fangamer before. I don't know if I can find this right now. They're even in the credits. Well, there you go. On the YIIK website, it says that it's Fangamer specifically, and here's a tweet where it probably links straight to Fangamer. I don't know. But if you look now, it's no longer there. Catalog collections by game. No Y2K. And now all of this merchandise is mysteriously only available on YIIK's website. Here. Actually, every mention of Y2K is completely scrubbed off the site, except for one zine, which I can't find. I haven't looked for a while. But, you know, that's there. Now, the reason I say that this is specifically tied to Toby Fox is that you can see that there's other games here on Fangamer that have been called transphobic, such as Persona, wherever it is. It's on here. People talk about how Persona 5 and the other Persona games are a bit transphobic all the time. Here, let me even bring up a tweet where somebody keeps spreading this thing that Persona 4 is transphobic and anti-gay. Is that... Oh, I don't know which one it is. There it is. Cool. You know? Persona is anti-gay, anti-trans. Yeah. Pizza Tower. Didn't the creator of that game post a bunch of anti-Semitic rhetoric in his Discord? Rhetoric? Yeah. There's no problem. You can get this fucking Persona merch. Let's see. Or at least you could for quite a while. Yeah, Persona 5. Wow. Easy. Cool. No problem. So it's not the transphobia. And if it's just the negative reception to the game, why is Life is Strange on here? Life is Strange has been criticized pretty heavily. Why is Last of Us Part 2 on here? That's been criticized pretty heavily. And even Ukulele, to an extent, was criticized pretty heavily. If it's about the idea of the developers being bad people, then why is Konami on here? After, you know, we've definitely talked about how, you know, on the internet that they had literally abused their staff. Again, I have to reiterate that this is all speculation, but that's all I can do when nobody has made a public statement about this, and I don't expect them to. I don't know. I couldn't know. I wasn't there. So, forever, this will remain a mystery. The one last controversy I plan on covering is people saying that the Proto-Woman's text is plagiarism. Man, all that soda is getting to me now. Yep, here you go. Kotaku. Some of the comments here are based. Here you go. Fun image where they take excerpts from Murakami's After Dark. This is so utterly stupid. This is clearly a reference to the book and has narrative weight in the story. There are references to movies, films, anime, and all through the like, through all art. Art references other art. In the thing you like, there might be a bit of text that's lifted from a different book that really affected the writer, and they wanted to quote it in order to highlight this, and maybe some aspect of the character that they're writing. Purposefully overlooking this and purposefully calling it plagiarism when it isn't is something that people love to spread against this game, despite the fact that Toby Fox did this in Undertale. The alternate check for the Royal Guards and the genocide route is a direct quote from page 66 of the translation of Banana Yoshimoto's book, Kitchen, and published in Japanese in 1988 and published in English in 1993. If you can't read between the lines and see what's being said here, there's no hope for you. I don't know what to tell you. I think a lot of people will only see the aggression in what I've said here today, not understanding the point of this is a result of a constant and harmful ongoing narrative. It might be a little rude to include Combat Lobster into this because they haven't done that much, but you hung around Timrod and Raisin Bran and contributed to a harmful narrative, so this is your prize. Also, as a side note, fuck the small-time indie developer Blood Machine for being ableist as fuck and essentially calling me retarded, but with more words. Here, because I was saying, hey, I have a problem with Shitty Dreamer because he's spreading misinformation, I own a YIIK plushie and have gone through the game like 3 times. You guys definitely make the game's online image suck more than it ever could have on its own. Your brain is made out of mechanically reclaimed crab meat. Go clean it up. I don't know what else to take that as other than them using more words to just call me retarded. It's very cool, and I'm glad to know this is the type of person saying that no one should ever say anything against anything that's possibly incorrect information. And while we're still talking about completely normal people, as they go on about here they are tweeting, as the #1 YIIK fan, should Blood Machine do an Alex YIIK plushie come tribute? Yep, you're completely normal and definitely not fucking weird. I think this is enough about the past, and I hope, as Suda51 told us, we can all now kill the past and never think about this bullshit again. Though, I know that's simply a fantasy. Yeah, this was something I needed to get off my chest, and now that that's been said, I can forgive these people for what they've done. And now, again, I want to apologize. This was not the tone of what this stream was supposed to be, but now we can get back into what I planned. But before we move on, I need to take a break. I do want to ask you guys if I should stop streaming and then start streaming again, if you guys think that would be a good idea. Because that way it would be separate from this shit with the cool shit that I want to talk about. What do you guys think? Because we got a lot of fun stuff planned, and I kind of want to separate this stuff from that. But also, I don't know. Okay. Yep, we'll separate this real quick. And I know, Sneeze, you probably wanted me to show off this funny tweet. The block list. I'll go do that real quick. I'm proud to be on this list next to J.K. Rowling, whose mentioning their name got me eviscerated from Twitter. I guess I could show that video. The quick little funny video I made about that. There was some memes I wanted to show during the middle of this to make it a bit funnier, but let me see if I can find that tweet. Damn. I definitely like have it on my computer. I just have no idea where I put it because I haven't done a lot of file sorting since I started working on my game. This block list is from Shitty Dreamer, who blocks me for quote-unquote being annoying, which... Cool, man, I guess. It was really funny. It still is really funny. Let me find... Just because I do want it to be known why I got booted off of Twitter. So I definitely want to do that before I start the stream over. Let's see. Yeah, some people don't understand that because, like, I just think it's funny that Twitter really cares, or people on Twitter really care about it. We gotta turn this up.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, we're gonna stop the stream here in a second. So say your blessings and hopefully come back for the next part of YIIK.